I actually ran out of video or space for my my video, so I'm just gonna continue exactly where I left off. So I remove the power supply. Here it is, and in case everybody missed it, it's 1, 2, 3 screws, and then just unplugging and removing this up from here. Okay, and the next thing I want to work on is the hard drive. So the hard drive has 1, 2, 3, 4 screws and a ribbon cable. So let's do the ribbon cable first because it's very easy to forget. Okay, ribbon cable is back here. So you just unhook, lift up, and just put it inside. And all right, let's unscrew these. So these are very long or longer screws. So I'm going to leave them in one little section. All right, so before you lift this up completely, there's something else you need to do. You need to remove this Molex adapter that's here, or this Molex plug. So the first time you do this, this is gonna be very difficult because it's really in there. So I would proceed with caution. You can remove, if you want, this here, but this is also very hard in there. So I usually don't remove this, I just leave it there. So I just work with this Molex cable. Thankfully, I've done this enough times that this is already like, it comes out on its own easy. But for the first time, you actually may need to use a tool of sorts because it's really in there. So just kind of wiggle it back and forth and eventually it'll come out. So this is the hard drive. This is a Maxtor 250 gig hard drive, 3.5 inch size, and it's really cool. There's like an adapter back here for the IDE. And you can see all the pins here, and then this goes down. This goes to the top lid in the back of the PSX. Okay, we are done with this top portion now. So now the rest is gonna be more or less the back. By the way, you can take this out too. I forgot to say that. We can take this out. This is the plastic shielding for the hard drive. Not for the hard drive, for the power supply. That's the plastic shielding for the power supply. There you go. Okay, so from here, we're not going to flip it over completely just yet. We're going to work on something else now. So now, we're going to work on all these little screws in the back. Okay, it looks like a lot, but I'm going to tell you a way that I remember how to do it, and it should be very easy. It may look intimidating, but don't let it intimidate you. It's not that bad. So there are 3 different screw sizes here. The 2 that you need to, there's a few that you need to distinct. These 2 are different, and these 3 and these 3 are smaller than all the other ones. So let's work our way from the bigger to the smaller sizes. Okay, so let me just get my screwdriver ready. Okay, so we're gonna work our way left to right. this screw here, when I show you, it's a real pain. It's always a problem. Yeah, this one by the optical drive is always really stuck in there. And you have to be careful because sometimes, like, I feel like you may strip the screw. But yeah, just like that. Okay, the next ones are going to be by the, so the first one I did was the optical drive right here. The next two are going to be here, next to the AV ports. And one thing to note also while you're doing this, or taking it apart or putting it back together, these don't necessarily need to go in all the way, just needs to make a nice snug fit, not super tight. Because for some reason, these screw holes aren't the most reliable. I can feel like there's like a lot of tension. Okay, the next screws are the ones here under the coaxial BS antenna inputs. Actually, they might be outputs, but these coaxial inputs. Let's keep it at that. And just to clarify, you don't have to do it in this order back here. I just like doing it in this order so I remember like what screws go where, and you'll see why I do it that way. The next one's going to be on top of the D terminal. And then the last two are going to be on the opposite ends of the controller ports. And don't worry, when you unscrew this, they're not, like, no boards are going to fall out or anything, so you'll be okay. You don't have to worry. Okay. The next two I want to do are the ones right here. So every single screw that I took out is the same size, like this, right? The next two are very short, so you'll see. See that? Very short. So you want to remember these two screws right away. Because if you put a longer screw in there, you may damage like components or something. So that's the small screw right there. And then the last set are these three two sets of threes. So these are, the head's a little smaller, so I'm gonna have to switch out to a smaller Phillips head size. And they all look like this. And the last one. All right, we have unscrewed every single screw in the back of the audio, video, power supply, Ethernet, controller ports, all these, all in the back. All right, so now we're approaching the last bit of this disassembly, and the rest of this is just going to be in the back here. So, okay. There are two boards here and then another board on the other side that we need to worry about. So the first thing I like doing here is just unplugging 1, 2, 3, 4 cables. This one you have enough room to like work with, so you can just pull it back. This one unlatches. Okay, and this board, the XRC005, which is the audio video board and everything, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Oh, I need to switch out my head, it's too small. Okay, so this board, you have to lift up and make sure these AV ports back here are coming out this way. So just lift up gently and just kind of jimmy it around a little bit and you'll eventually take it out. There you go. Okay, the next thing we can do is this, I'm assuming some FPGA board because I see a Cyclone chip here. So I'm not entirely sure what this does, but it needs to come out. So, and for this there are just 2 screws, 1 and 2. So this thing is actually held by a connector port. So what you want to do is lift from here. See, there's a connector board right here. And here's the board. Okay, so now there's this metal plate that we need to take out, and this is held down by 1, 2, 3 screws. And before you do that, you need to remove this tape. Just peel it out and lift these up when you take this out. And keep mind of this one as well. While we're here, we might as well just unplug this as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the board should come out. All right, the next thing is unplugging the fan. Oh, the fan was already unplugged, but let me plug it in just to show. I don't know what happened there, actually. Okay, so this is held down by 2 screws, 1, 2. And for this one, you'll need a little bit of a longer screwdriver. So grabbing my extension and unscrewing 2 screws. And this is usually held on by some tape. You just peel it back. And this one, just take your fingertips and just squeeze the side and then just lift up. It comes off pretty easy. And there you go. There's the fan. And the last thing we need to do here is unscrew these 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. So, if you've already noticed, and I haven't mentioned it, there is a mod chip in here. There is an original Matrix Infinity chip in here. Before you move the plate, I just want to show this. I do have a mod chip here. Unfortunately, it's not fully installed or installed correctly, so yeah. It could be done, but that's not the purpose of this video. I'm just going to show you that it's here. Okay, from this point, you can pull this back or whatever, and you lift up from here. And you're going to have to be careful because when you lift up, there's going to be a wire here for the hard drive, that Molex wire, and it's a bit stiff. So you're going to have to play around with this too. And when you lift up, the controller port and yeah, just the controller port sticks. So when you lift, be mindful of this right here. Be mindful. So kind of have to look at 2 things here. So you have this here, and be careful because this can stick inside of the controller port. And if you bend it like too hard or too fast, you can crack your controller port like plastic. Okay, there you go. That's the motherboard, and I'll show it in a moment. Let me just put this to the side. I am not going to take this out. This is the BS like module, and honestly, there's really no reason for me to show this other than the fact that it's attached. In order for you to take this out, you need to unscrew this, and then on the other side, you need to unscrew 4 screws, and then it's also held down by a metal like piece that you need to fold in and take out, and it's just a lot of work. So I'm just going to leave this as is. And here we finally are. We are at the motherboard. This is the bottom of the motherboard. There's 3 ribbon cables actually attached, and I'll just leave them there. And here is the top. There's one more board we have to take out, and this is the XDV005 board. So the first thing I like doing is removing this cable here. And from here, it's also attached to a connector, so you have to be careful and just lift up from the top, this section. See? I'm not entirely sure what this board does also, but it's here. It's here for a reason. Reasons unknown. And here we are. We have reached the end. We have reached the motherboard. As you can see, there is a very weirdly shaped heatsink on top of the Emotion Engine chip. This is the CD chip, which I have tried to mod. CMOS battery, memory stick adapter, USB, DV port, memory card slots. This is where the hard drive was. This is controller. This is the controller port. This is the digital optical out for the power supply. And I'm trying to look for the motherboard model. I think it's on the other side. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. This right here is the XPD 005. If you could see it. There you go. XPD 005. So once again, these are motherboards that are exclusive to the 5500, the 5700, the 7500, and the 7700 models of PSX DESR consoles. All right, so after all is said and done, let's put this to the side and let's see how everything looks taken apart. I hope I don't screw this up. I apologize if the video goes out. Gotcha. Okay. Here it is. Here is the PSX completely disassembled. I really hope everybody enjoyed this video. It was really fun to make. It's not as hard as you think. It just takes a little bit of patience and, you know, some spare time, of course, but yeah, with patience it can be done. Just remember there's a lot of ribbon cables everywhere, and hopefully I've hit all of those points that are, you know, not very known to people when they're trying to take this apart. So yeah, I really hope everybody enjoyed the video. I really hope you learned something today, and until next time.